As much as we suffer because of the ANC and its babies, it's important to always make sure that we tell the truth as it is, whether the truth is shocking or not, whether it seems trivial or not.
We're now going to talk about South African farmers, a topic which is we've explored at length on this show. Unlike most other shows in Australia, you won't hear the plight of the white South African farmers debated or discussed. So we're going now.
You would have noticed that our Deputy CEO of Afriforum, Ernst Roets, recently released a book called Kill the Boer, and it's about government complicity in farm attacks. And if you look at that little girl on the screen, Willemientjie Potgieter, she was 2 years old, almost 3 years old, when she was murdered with her parents that you see on the other side, Wilna and Atti Potgieter, on a farm in the Free State province. Now, I was personally there, and I also attended the court case.
Lying, especially lying to the world about your problems, only serves to alienate you from the people who are supposed to be your fellow citizens. This is exactly what I have a problem with when it comes to certain people who have gone to America and many other countries to speak in favor of Afrikaners. First things first, I want you to watch this.
Hi. My name is Jason Bartlett, and I'm a white South African. I currently live in the United States, and I came here illegally in 2019, and I pleaded for asylum. Now you ask yourself, why on earth would a white South African plead for asylum? Well, I'll give you a few reasons. South Africa is the rape capital of the world. It is one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world. It is the current government systematically goes out and murders the white farmers. The very people that feed them are being tortured and brutally slaughtered on a daily basis.
There you have it. Is this man who stays in America lying when he tells these things? Is he telling the truth or not? This video was posted or reposted by Elon Musk on X, aka Twitter, sometime this week. So is Elon Musk spreading lies about South Africa?
The current government systematically goes out and murders the white farmers.
Guys, tell me, honestly, is the South African government responsible for farm murders? Is the South African government systematically going out to murder farmers? How and when is this happening? I asked several people about this, and I even asked acquaintances, and none, not a single person, could point me to a genocide that some people love to speak about. No one could point me to evidence of the South African government systematically killing farmers. What is meant by systematically? It means setting a plan and methodically organizing to get farmers killed. As far as I know, we are all victims of bad governance. We are all victims of crimes. But are we now going to lie and say the ANC is systematically murdering white farmers or any of us? Are we really going to just start lying, Jay, just because it pushes our cause? It is a fact. The South African government is not systematically doing this. As much as we hate the ANC, they are not committing genocide in this country. This is a message of genocide that many people like these ones and Ernst Roets spread.
And we're in Washington, D.C. Me and Kallie Kriel have arrived here today as part of the second week of our tour to the United States to raise awareness and to garner support against farm murders and against expropriation without compensation.
They make it seem like farmers are being killed by the government, and by farmers, you know what they mean, right? Afrikaner farmers, white farmers.
Well, now to a fascinating and significant story the media have all but ignored. South Africa is a diverse country, but the South African government would like to make it much less diverse. An embattled minority of farmers, mostly Afrikaans-speaking, is being targeted in a wave of barbaric and horrifying murders. Ernst Roets joins us now. Mr. Roets, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
So you describe in this book a disorganized but in some sense intentional campaign to crush a racial minority within your country, and the government seems on board with it. Is that an overstatement?
Well, what the book is about is it's about government complicity in the scourge of farm attacks and farm murders that we've seen in South Africa. So we know in the last 2 decades there's been, according to government statistics, which we believe, we have reason to say that it's maybe downplayed a little, there's been about 2 farm attacks every day, and 2 farm murders every week in South Africa. And in the book, I highlight actually 10 different reasons why we believe the South African government is complicit.
What is true is that we all suffer from fear of crime. We suffer from poor service delivery. I too have been a victim of crime. I am not white. My husband more than twice. The first time they nearly killed him, but he is not white. He also cannot start saying that the South African government is systematically trying to kill him or anyone like him. Lies do no good for any of us or any of our causes. And who is reposting this video? Elon Musk. Elon Musk is very tight with Donald Trump right now. We could see South Africa getting into trouble because of the contribution of people like Ernst Roets, Kallie Kriel, and their ilk. This is very irresponsible. And for what? To raise some money for your Afrikaner projects? What is the real agenda of spreading lies like these ones? These people would rather destroy racial relations for the sake of one tribe. How pathetic is that? Many South Africans have gone to the US, the UK, Australia, and many other places because of their skills. The economy is one reason. The BEE policy is another reason. Crime is also a major reason. These are issues we can talk about. Why? Because they are true. We wouldn't be lying. These are real issues. All of us are affected by that chaos. That is why I say if we speak with one voice based on the truth, we can go further than these lies here. Yes, we also have characters like the racist Julius Malema and many of his supporters. We have many racist people within the ANC, EFF, and MK party. But let's not act like these people have instituted genocides yet, because they haven't. I think some of them would love for that to happen, but they haven't yet. So let's not lie.
This is the start of a genocide as far as I'm concerned. And it's only going to get worse. The genocide has just started. So white South Africans are being targeted, murdered in their homes, or robbed in the street. They are a minority and are being subjected to state-sanctioned persecution. Yet leaders around the world have been silent on these issues. Why? The same reason they are being targeted, because of their race. I've highlighted this before. It's time the Australian government stepped in and saved white South Africans before it is too late. I reiterate my strong support for Minister Dutton's call for prioritising persecuted white South African refugees. The Australian government needs to find a solution to what should be considered a humanitarian crisis. We need, as a matter of urgency, to let white South African refugees come here before black radicals and South African communists finish their plans of genocide.
When you look at these things, you don't just look at Afrikaners only or look at the farmers only. You look at the farmers and the overall data. So let's use facts and not be misled by emotions here. According to Afriforum, in the 2019-2020 financial year, there were 41 farm murders in South Africa. That is a huge number, definitely. One murder is one murder too many, and we should all speak out against that. But these are the kinds of numbers that people like Afriforum use to justify that there is systematic farm murder happening in South Africa. So in the 2019 to 2020 financial year, there were 41 farm murders. Again, we can all agree that that's a high number, right? But in the whole country, there were 21,325 murders in this country. So in the same year when 41 farmers were murdered, we know that the number of people that were murdered in the whole country in 2019-2020 financial year was 21,325 people. In the 2020-2021 financial year, there were 59 farm murders in South Africa. But in the whole country, there were 19,972 murders. Don't let your emotions get in the way of processing these numbers. Now, let's look at the 2021-2022 financial year. Farm murders were 55, but in the whole country, there were 25,181 murders. Are you still with me? In the 2022-2023 financial year, there were 50 farm murders in South Africa, but in the whole of South Africa, there were 27,494 murders. These are numbers of farm murders according to the same Afriforum and other Afrikaners who push the idea that there is systematic murders of Afrikaner farmers in this country. Looking at a 10-year period between 2013 and 2023, there were 595 farm murders in South Africa. Those are the numbers according to Afriforum, not my numbers. Meanwhile, during the same period, the whole country lost 207,847 people of all races due to murder.
I have landed in Washington this morning to join Ernst Roets and Marina Visa in the Afriforum USA tour. We have met with a couple of groups this morning already, one of which being a group of a delegation of representatives of the State Department. And the meeting we held was successful, I would say. We have asked them to share the stories and to talk about the issue of the farm murders and the farm attacks in South Africa. I am here to tell my story, as our story is one of thousands.
Do you see what I'm trying to say here? In a country where 207,000 people got killed over 10 years, what makes you think that 595 farmers losing their lives over the same period represents a genocide or a systematic killing of farmers? The farm murders represent 0.286% of all murders over 10 years. To show you how ridiculous this whole thing is, not all farmers that got murdered were white. Some were white farmers, some were black farmers. Some were even farm employees like those people we saw being killed by white people and fed to pigs. Some of those murders are white people killing white people. Some of those murders are black people who happen to be racist against white people. And some of them happen to be criminals simply wanting to steal something from the farmers. But you want to know one thing it is not? It is not the government systematically doing this. Unless and until you can present evidence, those are lies. Don't use lies to push stupid agendas when you are overseas. You cannot go around demanding that farm murders be treated special when actually all murders should be treated special. Because you want to be tribalist, you want us to focus on 0.2% of murders and ignore all 99.8% of the murders taking place. Really? Then you want to be shocked when people view you as a racist.
So what, Ian, briefly, we're just about out of time, but what can Australia do to help, and what are you hoping to get out of your contacts with the Australian government?
Well, from our side, we feel it's very important that we continue putting pressure from Australia's side on the South African government to do something, support an organisation like Afriforum. We've got 7,500 volunteers across South Africa that are trained well and that handle these types of situations, that support victims on the ground, that react to these atrocious crimes, and that act proactively and support the police where they can, because the police lacks resources. And obviously you can see my Twitter handle on the screen. Please follow it on Twitter and use that to spread the news. I report on every single farm attack in the country, and through spreading the news into the world, I feel that we can gain a lot of momentum and pressure the South African government into hopefully doing something about this problem.
We are dealing with a crisis in all spheres of crime in South Africa. The enemy is the lazy, corrupt, and incompetent ANC. But when you make it seem like Afrikaners are separate from the rest of us, you create the idea that the rest of us want to see you dead and we are not suffering the same pains that you are, which is yet another lie. Instead of uniting to fight for a common cause, you separate yourselves and appeal to America and Australia and many others. We are all suffering from the same curse, and yet you have pulled your resources based on tribal or racial grounds to push a separate agenda. What makes me happy is when I see many honest Afrikaners come out to actually speak out against these kinds of people and their agendas. What matters is the truth. What matters is being patriotic. What matters is showing love to our fellow citizens. Unfortunately, there are white people that are so racist that they don't even realize that their foolish racist agendas also push South Africans into the hands of those far left racists in this country. The EFFs and the MKs. The racist white people get so pissed off when they see me complain about people who look like them. They simply find pleasure in seeing comrades get criticized as if the comrades are the only enemies we have in the country. Many of them throw tantrums when some of my videos touch their nerves. Over here, we don't make content to make you feel good. We make content for the betterment of our country. The betterment of all of our lives. Blacks, whites, coloreds, and Indians. All of us matter. And if that doesn't sit well with you, just remember, facts first, cry later.
In 2002 and 2003, the Australian Institute of Criminology conducted their own studies into farm attacks. Their findings are similar to those of their South African counterparts. Farm attacks occurred on isolated farms and were most often motivated by greed. Where South Africa reported an estimated 2,035 farm attacks in the 2002 to 2003 period, Australia reported 4,717. Now, before you light your torches and grab your pitchforks, we'd like to point out that the writer of this script actually grew up on a South African farm. They've been the victim of farm attacks. They've lost family members because of it. They're in no way saying that the plight of South African farmers is not real. The reality is that South Africa's white farmers are just as safe and secure as their urban counterparts in the cities who hide behind walls, security gates, and high-end security systems.
In conclusion, we live in a violent country. Grannies don't even get a free pass. The criminals in this country have diverse preferences. Some attack farmers, some attack phone owners, some attack women and girls, some attack homes, some attack poor grandmothers, and some attack Rolex owners. We don't see victims lining up to say, protect Rolex owners or phone owners need protection. Why? Because those are simply criminals, and our message is that the comrades who have allowed criminals to go free and unpunished need to be removed, and crime needs to end. We understand that we need a government that prioritizes the punishing of all crimes severely while championing moral citizenry. We have witnesses and whistleblowers being targeted, and even those crimes are not being addressed by the comrades, period. Please, stop lying. Stop separating yourself from South Africans if you want to be a South African.
Between 1998 and 2001, the number of farm attacks taking place every year had doubled, with 3,499 cases being reported. During that time, 577 farmers lost their lives. Within the next decade, the number of farm attacks decreased. The number of deaths that were being reported also went down, with only 41 deaths being reported in 2022. In comparison, the South African police reported that 27,272 people were murdered in South Africa in the 2022 to 2023 reporting period. That means that farm murders accounted for only 0.15% of all murders taking place throughout South Africa. That's incredibly underwhelming, considering that many still continue to claim that a white genocide is taking place in South Africa, especially when you consider the fact that within the span of 3 months, between 490,000 and 800,000 people were murdered during the Rwandan genocide. During the Walaga massacre in Kenya, the Kenyan security forces murdered an estimated 5,000 Somalis in a day. Doesn't quite compare to the otherwise peaceful existence that most white South Africans continue to enjoy in the new South Africa. Does it? The reality is that farm attacks and farm murders are rarely motivated by racial hatred or political ideologies. In many ways, a farm attack isn't much more different than a common house burglary. The farms are often secluded and kilometers away from their nearest neighbors. The farms are chosen based on access and opportunity.
Stop risking the well-being of South Africans through the lies and the exaggeration. That is nonsense, so just stop it. Anyway, that's it for today. Remember to like and share this video with all South Africans, black, white, colored, and Indian. We are all in this together. Please support us by buying our t-shirt or joining our channel membership. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.